Join our incredible moms who have mastered the art of balancing motherhood in today's episode of We Time Convo.
My name is Debbie.
This is Liza.
Moms sharing inspiring stories, practical tips, and a few hilarious anecdotes. And it all begins now.
We're back again. Thank you for listening to We Time Convo. I have a guest co-host, Marita.
Hello.
And we have a very special guest, our favorite Queen of Down Under, Dr. Bovone in this home.
Hello.
So today we are going to talk about physician etiquette / bedside manner.
Ooh.
So one of my big questions is, when you are out not working, right? You're at the grocery store, say with your kids. How do you want, if and your patient so happens to be out there, do you want to be approached by your patients? Or do you go up to them when you see them and notice them? Or do you just kind of wait for them to go up to you? Like, what's the etiquette? Or what would you like to see or hear when you're out not working?
Yeah.
Right.
So I probably wouldn't go up to the patient and start talking with them or letting them know anything. I think if they were to approach me, I'm happy with that. And sometimes if it's been a couple of years or I haven't seen them in a while, it's hard having so many patients and then you see them in a different setting. It's sometimes hard to remember everyone. So it's always helpful if I think they say, "Oh, hi, Dr. Bovone. It's, Marianne, so-and-so, you delivered little Bobby here." They just kind of remind you of everything. But no, I love it. I love seeing people out in public. I love seeing kids and I don't mind it at all. Yeah.
Do they ever start asking you like medical questions? Like, I've been really itchy down there.
Your friends just start asking you like random
I'm sure you don't want to hear that.
Not usually. No, not usually. Or if they usually don't, but if they did, I think we would just like make a note to give them a call to get an appointment. But that's usually, not the case because they're with their families or a friend or it's just not the right setting.
So for me, I'm going to put it out there. I think I have huge health anxiety, especially when it comes to sexual health. Any like itch or anything down there, I'm like, I want to call my doctor. I want to take an STD test. Like I've taken my doctor, my OBGYN has more pictures of my vagina than a 20-year-old on Tinder showing their dick pics. I'm serious.
Oh my God.
And I mean, it's to the point where she's like, can you just like write it all down and like, once a month, just send me, questions or whatever. I'm just very scared of everything. How do you deal with a patient like that? And do you have patients that are like that?
I can think of one who is very, highly anxious, I think, about STDs and just a little like OCD with like cleanliness, which is fine. And we just acknowledge it. And usually we set a plan of, let's just test every year or we can test twice a year. And, so that we're acknowledging that anxiety, but kind of setting a plan so we have some boundaries around it. I'm very lenient and I tell all patients that, if you're up to date on everything, if you just want an STD test, that you don't need an appointment, just to call us or send us a message and we can like send the order to the lab because I want to make it easy for patients to get those tests. They shouldn't have to wait a month to come in. And people have their own personal lives. I mean, people will change their partners. They can have multiple partners. There's never any judgment. I just want people to be safe. And so that's why I want to make that testing easier.
So you're okay with not receiving vagina pics?
I'm okay with not. Yeah, I don't know if... I know I'm trying to think our EMR right now isn't set up to like receive pictures.
Thank goodness.
I have worked in one. And when we first would get pictures, you have to make sure you were like in your office and no one else was around because you're like, don't know what's going to pop up. And then it's like rotated wrong. And you're like looking at maybe like a C-section scar we'd see a lot. And you're like trying to figure out the orientation of it. But no, we do. And I don't mind when people are in an appointment and they have pictures of things. Because maybe it looks different by the time they got the appointment. So we're happy to see pictures.
Yeah. Although more power to you that you're that comfortable with your body that you feel okay to send that kind of, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And it's just me. It's just, I probably should talk to my therapist about this because I'm the safest person ever because I'm scared.
Yeah.
Like, I can have the same partner. He can wear 3 condoms. I can wear a female condom. And I'm still like convinced that like I've gotten something. So, that's just my own mental issue. So I'm probably going to hit up my therapist and be like, hey, I have this. And probably, but luckily my OBGYN, she's pretty patient with me. Like everyone in the office knows me. They see my number and they're like, okay, like what's going on again? I've just ever wondered, but and then now that I have Dr. Bovone's number, sometimes I'm just like, should I? No, I'm just kidding. No. But I'm sure. Okay, so Marita and Suzanne, Dr. Bovone, are friends. So like, how do you feel? Like, do you text her or call her with any issues? Or
if I ever have asked Suzanne any question, I usually wait until we're face to face when we have those kinds of conversations. And most of all, I think maybe once or twice I've asked you, and then she'll just say, yeah, you should go talk to your doctor about that. Because she's not my doctor, right? So more like, is this something that I should be worried about? And she says, you really should talk to your doctor about that. Like last time when we talked about painful sex, you're like, no, I remember Suzanne saying, you should go talk to your doctor about it. See what they can do. There's some stuff. And so then I made an appointment and saw my doctor. And then that's when I got all the other stuff taken care of. So
do you have a lot of friends hitting you up for like advice?
Not too many. They're usually quick, like a lot of, the age wise, just like menopausal issues. And so then, you'll give a quick blurb on something, but like, yes, go in and talk to your doctor about this. But yeah, every now and then you'll get like a breast picture and you're like, oh, I didn't need that on my phone. So I don't mind it, but I mean, I think because we want to make sure people are getting care, but I'm not, with people who aren't my patients, I'm not giving them like specific medical advice or treating them. Yeah, that I'm not able to like send in medications for people who aren't my patients.
Right.
So I want to know, as a doctor, like there's all these resources online, like everyone, I always hear hit or miss with WebMD. What resources online besides your own sort of like I have Kaiser, besides going to Kaiser, what other online web resources are good sort of reliable resources for someone to go before they go see their doctor?
Good question.
I do ask, especially for like anxious people like yourself sometimes, I think it's good to ask, what are you worried about? And what did you find online? Because oftentimes the patient won't bring it up. And so you're missing their biggest fear and they'll leave the appointment still worried about it because you didn't address it. Because you might have gone down this really deep rabbit hole and everyone comes in and thinks they have cancer. And if you don't say it out loud, then the physician doesn't have the opportunity to say, yes, maybe that's on the list, but it's way down here. I'm not worried about that. Let's go through everything and take it one by one. So I don't mind people looking online. I just want them to share with me what they're seeing. And I think WebMD is okay. I think that's fine. The National Institute of Health has some important information. The bigger like Cleveland Clinic, I know always has a lot of patient education material. And I think the important thing is telling your physician what you're worried about.
Don't get advice from TikTok or Instagram.
Yes. No, yes. There are, there's good stuff too out there. There are a lot of good OBGYNs. I don't do TikTok or look at it, but there are some doing it and there's good information. So it could be something like you're saying, if you're interested in fertility, then who are the fertility doctors who are giving, accurate information out there? And if I didn't know, I'd be happy to like research it, reach out to, a group of doctors I have on social media to say who is out there giving advice. And then I would direct the patient to those Instagram or TikTok pages.
I only asked because when I was pregnant with my daughter, I had bleeding in the urine. And so my OBGYN said, well, I talked to my urologist friend and he said, let's wait until after you have the baby and then we'll further investigate it. So we did. And so we have a newborn. And I'm like, okay, I got to go see this urologist. And I didn't know what to expect at this appointment. And so right then and there at the appointment, I think we had the cystoscopy. So. Yeah, I have it every year. I don't know why I don't know the name of it. So I had the cystoscopy. And so I literally was at the doctor's office by myself discovering that I have precancerous stuff in my bladder. So my doctor said, you're young enough that if we hadn't caught it so soon, it would have been it would have been actual cancer. Basically, he said. So we caught it early. So I'm lucky. So you're a cancer survivor. But at the same time, it's like I drove home thinking that I don't know what stage I have, and then looked everything up on the internet. Yeah. And this was, almost 20 years ago, and freaked out.
Yeah. You're like writing your will, like you're writing to your,
I'm like, I have this brand new baby. Am I going to see this baby grow up? And it's because I looked online and I think that's one of the times I talked to you. I can't remember, but maybe we didn't know each other. But I talked to someone and said, ask the doctor yourself. Don't go with what's on the news. So then I think maybe it was my husband. He brought me down off the ledge, and we made an appointment and saw him together. We had someone watch the baby. And then he was like, no, this is what it is. And this is what the procedure was. But it's like, So I guess maybe I should say to the listeners out there, ask questions of your doctor. There is no question that they probably have never heard before. They're probably used to it. And it's better to ask the question and get an answer than to go look it up on the internet and get the wrong information.
And the worst place to look is Reddit. Because I do follow this subreddit called Healthy Hoo-Ha.
Oh my goodness.
And I just was like convinced that I had everything under the sun. I was like, oh no, I have this. Oh no, I have that. So Reddit, I mean, it's a great resource for other things. There's really good subreddits, but don't diagnose yourself with people that have no profession or any advice, like just random people on the internet that you don't know.
So one thing with what Marita is saying is she had a procedure and kind of didn't know what to expect and then kind of went home and was processing it. One of the issues right now in healthcare that is happening is that people do have access to their medical records. And so patients will get notified of lab results and of pathology, and they may unfortunately find out they have cancer that way before the doctor has a chance to give them a call. Some places might delay the pathology results for a few days in order to give the physician, but not all places do. So that's a horrible thing that's happening. Physicians do not like it. We wish that we could kind of roll back and not have that in place. And so it would be good, I think, having that conversation of if you're having a procedure, and as physicians to say, okay, this is the results are going to come this way. You might see them before I do. I'm so sorry, I have no control over that, but like not to panic. And then, or making that plan, don't look at them. I will call you when it's in. I always try to just call people right away because mainly they just want to know because they're worried. And then it's just one more thing in my inbox. I just want to get it done, but I want the patient to know as soon as possible. But that is really hard when we talk about patients finding out diagnoses.
Yeah. I mean, that's happened to me before too. I just would freak out. Because you see like abnormal and you're like, no. And
right.
Like, it's fine.
What do these numbers mean?
Yeah.
And then it says below, target, above, you're like.
No, but patients do, I think with a lot of the labs or like a urinalysis and it's like just a little bit outside the normal. Don't panic about those. Like you could send a quick message, but in the big scheme, those are just like reference ranges, but they're not for everyone. Obviously, if it's like very clearly way off, but again, not to panic, but just, either most have that patient portal, sending in a message that you'd want like a phone call or someone to reach out to you, because the physician is probably going to get to it within the next day or so. It's just sometimes the patient gets it first.
Okay, so bedside manner. My OBGYN, I do love her. She's a little younger, but I remember one time, requesting an STD test and she was like, oh, what happened to you and your husband? Like, did you guys break up? Yeah. And I'm totally like, well, whatever. I don't care. Like, I'll tell you. But I felt that was like really odd, because she was just like, oh, like, are you sleeping with multiple people? So she just kind of was like getting really personal with me. Do you do you feel that that's normal?
I would say, I feel like I get very personal with patients and I would invite them to be open and honest with me and that there's never any judgment. And, you will ask, do you need any STD testing? And they might joke like, I'm married. And you're like, well, people still have sex with other partners. You might have another partner. So it's just asking it in an open-ended question. I do have patients who have other partners outside of their marriage or their committed relationship. People are in polyamorous relationships. People may want to try new things and not let their partner know. And so again, it's being safe and having those conversations. So I usually say there's never anything anyone would tell me that I would be shocked by or that I would judge them by, because we want it to be a safe space.
Yeah. But then that's your prerogative. You should, if that doctor is making you uncomfortable, then you should maybe think about seeking out a new physician. So I have a friend who they would go to the doctor, same thing, ask questions, but then they felt like the way the questions that were asked of them, they were like sort of
being
judged, very judgmental and very negative. And my friend left in tears because the doctor had said like, well, this is their impression of what the doctor said. I can't say we're in the room, but it's your fault. This is what's going on, kind of thing. And, to me, it sounded like the incident that they were going in for was beyond their control. It's that they were asking questions about what they can do to improve their overall health. And it was about weight loss and all that stuff. And it's like, you know what I mean? So I think, and this person decided, okay, this is like the fourth time I've gone in to see you, and it's just very negative, and I don't feel good. She finally addressed it with them, and then the doctor said, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. It's not the way I intended, but you're free to pick somebody else. They picked someone else, and they're very happy now with their new physician. So I think Suzanne is the way she talks to her patients, the way she tells them, I'm like, that's what I'm looking for. Is someone who is not judgmental, understanding, and will listen to concerns. So if you're feeling that way, you should feel empowered to change it.
OBGYN, she's more of like, hey girl, like what happened kind of thing. So I think she makes me feel comfortable. But I just was kind of like, oh, like, you know, not in that sense, but I'm like, okay, like I'll tell you. Like I'll tell you what's up. So okay, that's good to know. So my other question is, how available do you make yourself to your patients? Because I've had doctors that are like, hey, like, you know, text me or call whenever you want. And I'm like, well, like, you know, just kind of things like that. It's like, and that's fine. That's that's how they want to be available to their patients. But how available are you to your patients, Dr. Bovone?
So usually it's all through the office and through office hours. And, you know, we do have a patient portal. Patients can call and leave messages. And whether it's the staff answering it and either answering the question or making an appointment, you know, to evaluate it, or on the portal, if it's a easy thing, I think we don't want to be writing paragraphs back and forth. That would be more appropriate for an appointment or a video visit. And so I think I'm available, but it's not 24/7, definitely. Yeah.
And then you do, you know, you deliver babies too.
I do deliver babies. I'm not running back and forth as much into the labor and delivery for like our vaginal deliveries. I do more of my C-sections, and we have an OB hospitalist team that is doing most of our deliveries, which is nice after like 20 years of being able to sleep. Yes.
Yeah, because you're just, you can get a call any time of the day. Yes, that would be,
so then you are like always, well, you're on call. I was always in groups, but there are physicians who are in private practice and they are amazing. I don't know how they do it, but they are somewhat more available like 24/7 for their patients unless they're out of town and they'll have coverage. So you should always have some access to your physician. And in an urgent or emergent situation, you should know, is there someone on call for them? Are you to go to like the ER, urgent care? Like you should always have someone that you can go to.
Well, that's all my questions for you. Do you have any questions, Marita?
I have a question. Dr. Bovone, at a party, when they know you're a doctor, it's a stranger. Did you have anybody say, hey, can you look at this?
No,
At
probably.
my vagina?
There's something in my back. There's like a skin tag.
That would be me. No, just kidding.
No, I haven't had that. I mean, sometimes people will tell you their birth stories, you know, and they'll be like, I was in labor for 5 days. And I'm like, no, probably not. But I mean, it might have been that like, yes, you were there for a long time, but not like active labor, like the true definition of it. But I don't mind that. And definitely I don't, you know, like you were mentioning how your doctor, Marita, asked their doctor urologist friend that we don't know everything. And so we're constantly like asking each other. I feel like my radiologist in the pocket, because whenever I have to order something like a CT or MRI, which I don't do a lot of ordering those, I always ask him, this is what I'm looking for. What do I order? And he tells me, because we can't know it all. So I think, again, like picking a physician who will say, I don't know, let me get back to you, is a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
So you can't be a doctor to your family and friends?
Well, I guess you can to your friends. To your family, you should not be. Yeah, they're a physician. I think that just like crosses a boundary. And then for friends, I think it just would depend on what your comfort level is.
Marita, would you be comfortable with Dr. Bovone looking at you down there?
I probably, but Suzanne is not in my insurance plan. So.
Yeah, okay.
But, you know, I think that I like that our friendship is the way it is.
It is.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you again for listening, everybody. And thank you to Dr. Bovone and Marita for coming on again. We always love having you on. We'll probably have you on again soon if that's okay. But thank you, and everyone have a good day.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.